Thank you very much. This is the RM of Springfield, a meeting agenda for June the 10th of 2025, starting at exactly 6 p.m. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'll start off with the land acknowledgement there. The RM of Springfield acknowledges that we are gathered on ancestral lands, Treaty 1 territory, traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, Dene people, and on the national homeland of the Red River Métis. That said, we'll go to item number 4, and that's the approval of the agenda. If I can get a mover and a seconder for that, please. Melinda and Andy. Any additions? Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had 2 residents who requested they come as unscheduled delegations after 7.1, if at all possible. That's a Dr. Daniel Page and a Miss Janet Nylen.
We haven't had any requests beforehand with regards to this, unless CEO has from either one of those 2.
I have received nothing.
And according to our procedural bylaw there, it has to be an emergency or some exigent circumstances. Is it something time sensitive?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, in fact, Dr. Page's is time sensitive because it has to deal with the minutes, but and I believe Ms. Nyland's has to do with the taxation bylaw. So it's actually on the agenda and imminent. Obviously, if they don't get an opportunity to speak tonight, they will never have an opportunity to speak to these particular issues.
See, I got a poor memory, and I understand. I think Ms. Nyland has talked about that, and we know Mr. Page has talked about it several times about the minutes. So I don't see any reason why we would have to do that. Are you making a resolution with regards to asking that they be entered as emergency delegations?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. It wouldn't be for an emergency. It would be because it's pertinent to the agenda. So I'll make a motion that the agenda be modified or amended to include Dr. Daniel Page as well as Miss Janet Nylen after 7.1, after our scheduled delegation as an unscheduled delegation.
We've done this several times for emergency delegations. In my opinion, it doesn't qualify there, but I'm going to open it up to council. Is there any discussions from councilors?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Just you would need a second first.
Yeah, I thought Andy is already.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Okay. Any discussions from council at all? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I'd like to have a discussion with this. Again, I don't see why they couldn't have signed up for a delegation. I just once again want to reiterate that we have a structure here to follow suit. And I will say this time, I have no problem letting this happen, but next time I won't be voting for it because this just can't continue. There's a procedure way to do things. And if they follow the procedures, then they will follow through. The least they could have done was today, either emailed the CAO or again, did something prior to this meeting versus Councillor Miller coming to the council meeting asking for this. Now, if it was an emergency, I totally agree with it. And like I said, this time around, I'm willing to let this go, but next time we'll follow the procedure. Thank you.
Anybody else? I'll have a comment here, but go ahead, Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Fuel for yielding on this. I do believe there's an important process to engage with people, and I think that I would encourage them and others absolutely in future to take that course of action. So thank you.
I think it's risen to the level there that these emergency delegations have. I wouldn't say it's gotten out of hand, but it's an opportunity to have a delegation coming before us. There, we're not prepared for the details. So if we're not prepared for the details, knowing in advance, then we're not prepared to do a proper job hearing that. Mr. Page has had this emergency provisions, I believe twice. It doesn't matter how many times, even if it's the one time, we've heard him many times with regards to the minutes. We've had this discussion several times. The same with Mrs. Nylen. We've had emergency provisions, and both of them were brought by yourself and Councillor Kaczynski, seconded by Councillor Kaczynski. And I think it's taken advantage of the procedural bylaw that it's not meant to be this way. We have a procedural process to adhere to. Otherwise, we have no structure. Without structure, you've got nothing. It's like building a house with paper. Eventually, it's going to fall down on itself. And I just think that this is the time now that we've denied, I think, an emergency delegation once before. I'm not saying who it was. It was either Mrs. Nylen or Mr. Page there, and it's gotten to the level that we're talking a cumulative 3 or 4 times that this has occurred. I do respect the deputy mayor's opinion there. I just think this doesn't rise to that level, nor the other times, but we did, in fact, allow that by consensus, democracy, by vote. So at this point here, that's what I'm going to end off the discussions with. And then if we could have a reading of the resolution, then we can vote on the emergency delegations. I'm sorry, Councillor Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, I will be the same as Mr. Fuel and my fellow, that I will allow for people to speak. Ms. Nylen, if she's going to be coming for after 7.1. Ms. Nylen has already written a few comments. So Ms. Nylen also had opportunity to write and submit your comments in writing so that we could have had that ahead of time. Thank you.
Okay, and I think everybody's answered the question there. There's really no reason why neither Mr. Page or Ms. Nylen could not have followed the procedure like Mr. and Mrs. Regehr in front of us, or delegations at other times. This emergency delegation process is not meant for this purpose. It's time sensitive, exigent circumstances where things have to be done right away. This isn't an emergency whatsoever. Both Mr. Page and Mrs. Nylen has had plenty of opportunity to contact the CEO like everybody else and have a chance to enter into the form. It's very easy to be done. So why this now? It's frustrating. Councillor Kaczynski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would say that residents contacting us and they saying to us that last first reading when was on our budget, then they was told that they cannot speak. That's why they didn't put the delegation this time, because they thought they don't have opportunity to speak on the budget anymore. So that was residents' understanding. That's why they're coming forward now to us, say, well, can we ask, council that they're gonna allow them to speak? So if we wouldn't say on the last meeting when we have it, I don't know what day it was, I don't remember. If we wouldn't make those comments, then probably people would do it. But if people were confused, then that's why they contacting us and asking us to speak on their behalf to allow them to have a delegation. Thank you.
Well, I don't think there's any confusion whatsoever. I think Mr. Page and Ms. Nylen probably know the procedure bylaw better than anybody here. So there's absolutely no excuse why they could not have done this in advance for them to shortcut when everybody else is following the rules. Put your hand down, Mr. Page. There's no reason why they could not follow the rules there. And Mr. Page has talked infinite amount of times with regards to the minutes. So we're going to vote on this, and I was wondering maybe we should vote on 2 separate delegations. We'll vote once for Mr. Page and once for Ms. Nylen. Is that good with you?
I'm sorry, it isn't, Mr. Mayor. I think we have it as structured to include both of them, but
No, we do, and I agree with that there. So I'm ready to read the resolution or have the resolution read, and then we can vote on it.
Okay, moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor Kozinski. Be it resolved that council agree to add the following unscheduled delegations to the agenda: Daniel Page, re-minutes, and Janet Nylen, re-taxation bylaw.
Those in support, can I get a show of hands, please? That'd be Councillors Warren, Kozinski, Miller, and Deputy Mayor Fuel. Those opposed? Mayor Therrien, it is so passed. We'll add them to 7.1 after our delegations. That's been done correctly. Okay.
So I'll just read out the approval of the agenda now. So that was moved by Councillor Warren and seconded by Councillor Kozinski. Be it resolved that the agenda be approved as amended.
Thank you. Can I get a show of hands of those in support of the approval of the agenda as is? It is unanimous and is carried. Then we'll go to the adoption of the minutes there. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that too, please? Deputy Mayor Fuel and Councillor Kozinski.
Are we passing this before the delegation? Sorry.
Yes.
Whereas the minutes of the council meeting held May 20th have been previously distributed to council, be it resolved that the same be and are hereby approved.
Thank you. Can I get a show of hands, those in favor of adoption of the minutes? That is unanimous, so carried. Then we'll go to reports. That's item 6.1 on the agenda there. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councillors Warren and Fuel. Is there anybody that want to, Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's transmitting properly. I just wanted to bring to the attention to council some things that have come to light very specifically in the last week or so. And that specifically has to do with the Manitoba Legislature Assembly Office of the Ethics Commissioner report of Jeffrey Schooner, the Ethics Commissioner, and I want to report that that 100-page report had some very specific issues in it, and I won't read the full report, but I would ask that that report be available to the public because it has to do with something very serious and very much pertinent to our community. And further to that, there was very much consensus in that report that 3 individuals breached their legislative assembly duties in the caretaker period, and that had to do with the MLA Jeff Wharton, as well as MLA Cliff Cullen and former Premier Heather Stephenson, who are all fined, or I should say that an imposition of a fine was recommended by the Ethics Commissioner for their breach of duties and potential I want to be very careful in the wording that I say here, but that the people of this community are safeguarded, that that Ethics Commission report did show that there was justice in what Councillor Kaczynski and myself did for holding off and trying to portray to the public and inform the media that something very fishy was going on, and it was reported as such. Also, because I know the mayor has indicated that he doesn't thoroughly read the newspaper, I wanted 2 items to be brought to his attention because it's quite important. On page A7 of the Winnipeg Free Press today, Devon Ross reports that, of course, unsolved questions require independent commission. Manitoba's Ethics Commissioner recently reported on the former Progressive Conservative Premier Heather Stephenson and 2 former cabinet ministers violated the province's conflict of interest laws after losing the 2023 election. They were accused of breaching the rules in an effort to approve the controversial Silica sand mining project in the RM of Springfield during the short caretaker period before the new NDP government was sworn in. And the rest of it is, I'll table as information, but I think he should realize that this issue is not going away, because I was informed today and briefed today that Silica, now called Simba, has released a YouTube video indicating their thrust, their motivation to mine in our community. Once again, if you visit the Simba Silica website, you will see a new YouTube video which indicates very strongly that they want to come back to our community. And not only that, but they say, and I have a picture of it because I wanted to take a picture before they actually take it off, but they claim, quite frankly, that SIO's high purity quartz sand extraction is really no different than a traditional water well. The technology hasn't changed for over 100 years and is the same process used to clean existing water wells. Our well sites, meaning theirs, are temporarily closed, closely monitored and returned to their pristine natural state, making the entire process sustainable and environmentally responsible. So my question is, the wells that they have in Anola area, are those ones as what they say, pristine? Are they closely brought to what they were before? And I know it's not the RM that really monitors that, but Manitoba Environment does. And so I would ask that the CAO reach out to Manitoba Environment to ensure that what they're saying and promoting on internet website is accurate, that they're not misleading, and that they are absolutely upholding what they're doing. The final item I want to say is that in the letters to the editor today, there was one from Miss Tangi Bell, and I say it because she's a resident in our community and a strong one. And I want us to know that bureaucrats must be held accountable. And then she goes on to quote, David McLaughlin's article in Manitoba's Ethics Commissioner's report shows a clear case of broken governance and the need for Premier Wab Kinew to call for a full independent public inquiry into the Silica file. For decades, organizations have been calling for meaningful reform of Manitoba's environmental assessment and licensing regime under the Environmental Act. Reforms are needed. So I think it's important to know that we have to continue to safeguard our community under the Environment Act, and we have to continue to safeguard the residents of southeastern Manitoba as Simba or Silica tries to re-engage, as clearly shown on their website, just launched today. So it's hot off the press. It will be news to most people, and I'm sure we'll receive a lot of heat, a lot of perhaps lobbying, and a lot of tension if we don't respond and know about what's unfolding before our eyes. Once again, I hate to say it is, but it actually is. And you don't have to trust me, you just have to look at their website. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll have to respond to that. What do you want done with the 100 pages then? We're not going to put it to our website. The people can download that at their will. So I'm not sure why, if that's what you're asking.
I'm sorry, but we can't hear Mark.
Well, this shouldn't be on. This has nothing to do with us, the 100-page report. People can download that at their will, so that shouldn't be part of this report whatsoever. That is a provincial issue. So if people want that, then you're on the record, and they can download the report there. And CIO Silica is a provincial issue, like it was a year and a half ago.
But if you remember, Mr. Mayor, of course.
No, I wasn't finished then, Mark. It's nothing's changed in the year and a half of hell that we had, almost 2 years of hell, starting off this council there. CIO was put to bed by the premier of the day, Wab Kinew, a newly premier at that time. there, and he said that it was shelved. So whether CIO or Simba is putting something on a website, who cares? That has nothing to do with us. Let them put as much as they want. It's a free country. Let them put that down there. Nothing has changed. So it's a provincial issue, and that hasn't changed as well. So I think we're going in circles with regards to this, and it really has nothing to do with your report.
Well, I just don't want you to be a deer in headlights when they come to us again and look for a development agreement, which you actually approved or tried to approve.
No,
and we didn't.
We approved. Council approved.
No, we didn't
the
actually.
Development agreement.
Actually, it wasn't approved, Mr. Mayor. I stand correct. You stand corrected. This development agreement, thank goodness, was not approved by this council.
For the facility.
Wow.
Well,
in all due respect,
there's two separate ones.
Well, let's make sure that we kill the next one.
Well, let's make sure we don't throw misinformation out there. So
I agree with you.
The development agreement was for the facility, and that hasn't been signed yet. So that was approved because we were required to do so by the municipal board. All right, I've got a few comments there. Anybody else? I wasn't able to add the Manitoba Biz report to my report here. Just ran out of time. So maybe I can read that into the record there. Myself and Deputy Mayor Glenn Fuel attended the above event. That would have been on June the 6th. That was on Friday. It's called the Manitoba Biz, or MBIZ, Manitoba Chambers of Commerce. It was a large event. There's 300 plus delegates there. There was the ministers, the premier himself who had a presentation there. Mayors and Reeves were all present, as well as the business heads, CEOs of large corporations in Manitoba. The key sponsor was Niverville, Manitoba, their Mayor Myron Dick, who provided a detailed report of his town's progress and soon to get the status as a city. Noted their large lagoon rehabilitation project, which appears to be very similar to our project, the old lagoon rehab. That's kind of a focus I felt that was really excited when that was the case there. So we have precedents there, an old lagoon that has been rehabilitated like ours could be. So I want to keep that on the radar. So the presentation was, there was a presentation by Kevin Miller. I'm sorry if I got his first name wrong there, but he's the founder, Miller Environmental. It's an all Manitoba, Canadian owned and headquartered in Manitoba. His presentation was quite informative there. Premier Wab Canoe made a very good presentation with opening comments on fire relief and 2 stories of compassion in a stressful situation. He talked about the Western Corridor project, where a pipeline could be sent to the Tidewater Port in northern Manitoba, pitched to the Prime Minister Carney. This will allow oil from Alberta to be transferred via pipe to the north port to the global markets. That cost is estimated between $30 and $50 million, and that's at the start of looking for that project to go ahead. He talked at depth with regards to AI focus and data centers to store and archive data for the province, a focus of future expansion. So he had talked to the Prime Minister, reducing the ability to start mining extraction from 10 years to 2 years with Indigenous consultation and ownership. Same process where interprovincial barriers are being blended to allow truck barriers and labor barrier rules to be blended, and the verification of one's person's credentials in hopes of blending the criteria as accepted between provinces is once fully verified. What I understand is just to make sure that the criteria that one province uses is very similar to the next one. There, he also talked about the passing of Bill 47, that's removal of interprovincial barriers. That's a common one there. I won't get too far into that there. That's a common theme amongst the new government with Carney, Prime Minister Carney. His accomplishments, he advised the new mine in the north, opening up resources. Inflation was down due in part to elimination of the gas tax, cutting or reducing the income tax payroll income tax, putting forward Indigenous fair trade zones. Clearly, our premier is working hard to protect people in the fire zones and evacuees. He was thinking very forward-thinking. Businesses such as mining and AI combined with Indigenous ownership and collaboration was very high on his wish list. I had another comment with regards to We have a town hall meeting there on Thursday. That's the 12th of June at 6 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m., I believe, at Cooks Creek there. This is our third town hall. Everyone from Springfield is invited, so please attend. And that's all I had for the reports. And then more addition to be added, Councillor Kaczynski and then Councillor Warren.
Mr. Mayor, on May 26th, you met with the Reeve from RM of Reynolds. Can you tell us what this meeting was about? Because this Mr. Gavlak was a really hard proponent of Silica and our municipality.
We get together, myself and Councillor Gawlik there. He had a resolution at council at the AMM today, and we talked with regards to that and just council in general. I don't think we even discussed CIO. No, I stand corrected. I think we did discuss CIO in passing, but nothing pertinent and nothing that of any event. Did I answer that?
Can you please put more details? What did you talk? Like nothing pertinent to who? To you or to our residents of this municipality and to the council?
You know, at any time I talk, Councillor Kaczynski, it's always about talking with regards to the RM, and it's always been when I took my oath, it's always for the betterment of the RM. So what we talked about, I would consider Russ Gawlik a friend. So we talked in passing. We had a coffee at the new Grey Wolf Cafe there. We had just talked there about CIO, and I believe it had something to do with they've never left there, and I think I hadn't heard anything there, but I think Councillor Miller said there's something in the newspapers there, and I do read the newspapers there. I sometimes don't read nothing on Facebook there, but there's nothing of consequence between myself and Russ Gawlik.
But if you stated, Mr. Mayor, that this was like a friendly conversation, why did you put on this meeting? Like you just can meet anybody, you don't have to put in your report.
Because I want to be transparent.
I know, but you put the stuff that is very important to this municipality. If you have private conversation with somebody, then I don't think so. It's, pertinent to the municipality or to the council.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I didn't put that down there, and somebody saw me in the cafe with a mayor or a Reeve, they would go off the deep end. Facebook would be all over the place there. So what's he trying to hide? What's he doing there? I even had a guy follow me into the chicken and pizza ranch. I'm sorry, it's not that anymore. And he pretended that he was there with a cell phone, took a picture of me with the MLA. So it's like I'm very important that people have to know who I'm with. I'm very above board. I'm very transparent. I've got nothing to hide. So not putting it in there would just add more problems. So I meet with Reeve Gawlik, big deal. Not a pertinent detail. Like you're suggesting that why put it in there? Because if I don't, then somebody's going to come up and say, "Oh, what's he up to?"
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I've got extreme ethics there. I never did anything incorrect as a Mountie there, so why would I do anything incorrect now? And I have to throw that on the record. Councillor Warren?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank you. While I was gone to the FCM, you attended the Enola Museum opening for the season. I heard you had a good time. And we have in Springfield, we have a 1929 fire truck, and it's a beauty, but it needs a little work. So I'm going to leave that whole conversation until we get to the Springfield Fire and Rescue Services.
Was that just a reminder of me that I don't forget?
Yeah, that's right.
Because that does happen.
What?
Deputy Mayor?
Is it 34? I thought it was 29.
29.
Yeah, I'd just like to share a couple things. First off, I'll start off with FCM, kind of the housekeeping things that FCM built upon for 2025, building a strong and resilient economy, removing barriers for provincial trade, and keeping communities safe. Having said that, we passed 4 resolutions adopted by FCM, improving healthcare in rural Canada, strengthening Canada's economy by diversifying trade, future of Canada Post, and strengthening Arctic sovereignty and security through municipalities. I'd just like to go on to say, I attended also the Community Futures National Conference. I would just like to thank you for providing me allowed to go. The Community Futures Conference, there was over 200 community futures that attended out of 269 community futures. I went to a study tour and I thought it was very interesting, building stronger communities, the economic power of recreation, and how important a recreation center is to a community and what the economic growth is beyond that. And I'll share with you that there's a business in Newfoundland that started out because of the rec center that trains professional baseball pitching. And that wouldn't exist today without that, again, recreational center. Also like to touch base with a guest speaker was Alan Doyle from local, I don't know if anybody knows, that he's from the Great Big Sea. And he started a fund. I thought this was very interesting. He started a foundation called $1 a Day. And what happened was when he was on his way to his studio in Newfoundland, he was giving $1 a day to a homeless person on the street. And he would do that every day. But then when he started traveling, he wasn't allowed to do that. So he then went to making a donation once a year of $365 to a foundation. So then he would talk to his group of band players about this, and they ended up forming the $1 a Day Foundation. And in their proceeds of raising money, they've raised over $5 million so far. So if anybody wants to take a look at their website, it's a good cause. It's about mental health, and they support here in Manitoba also. So I'd just like to share those few points. Thank you. Oh, having said that, just one more thing. Sorry about this. I was at the AGM last night at Community Futures, and I'd just like to let everyone know that Springfield Community Futures has lent out over $1.5 million in this area and has employed 98 and a half, say 99 people, direct jobs in this area. So I'd just like to report that also. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, can you say that website again?
$1 a Day Foundation.
Okay, that's important there. Anything else? Then maybe we can vote on. Sorry, I got this mixed up here. Our reports. If there's no further, we'll read it and then we can vote on it.
Be it resolved that council activity reports for the month of May be received as information.
Show of hands of those in support first. Unanimous and it's carried. Then we'll go to 6.2. That's departmental reports. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Miller and Warren. Any questions or comments with regards to that? Councillor Kaczynski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank you, our Public Works Department, for really working hard and fixing our roads, like especially the Oakwood Road. We have a lot of potholes there after the winter, and just one phone call to our Public Works and everything was done. Residents are really appreciate that and they're happy. And same thing like Lorne Hill Road, because we have gravel roads section of Lorne Hill Road south of Garben Road, and was a lot of dust. So Public will brought the gravel and put the dust abatement, and a resident calling me and they really appreciating that. So I want to thank you, department, of Public Works and our employees who really doing very good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kaczynski. Anything else? I've got maybe you ended off, Councillor Kaczynski, with Public Works, and maybe I'll start with that. I was just the report was quite good. I just want to know whether the pedestrian lights at Oakwood and Dugald there, the 2 and 2, the 4 pedestrian lights there, whether more monies now will expedite that. I don't know if Blaine's on the line, or is this something that you can discuss with him tomorrow?
So you're talking about those
Pedestrian,
rapid beacons?
Yes,
Okay,
the
so
flashing lights.
Blaine and I met with the new MTI staff member, had a good conversation, and that seems to be going along quite well. And they were just going to finalize the approvals for the locations and get those set up. So
Great news. Good news. Thank you. Thank you very much. Then I'll start at the very top. Facilities. I know Dustin is probably going to kill me on this there, but he's talking about removing the bricks in the very front as a front entrance here where people come up there. We got bricks on either side of the walking pathway, which is probably 8-10 feet wide. This is just me, and I was just, probably a point of discussion there. If we were to remove those bricks and replace it with grass on the what side is that? I should know my directions. On the south side there, up until the pathway, and then replace the other part that's leading almost up to Dustin's office with shrubs and so on. I just find it's just kind of dark. It's concrete. It'd be nice to have some shrubs in there as opposed to interlocking bricks. That's just kind of the thing that I'd like to see, but that's just myself. Does council have any opinions with regards to that at all? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I could support that. It just gives a little more of a warm feel when you walk up. Again, as long as there's money in the budget for that, that would be something that administration could look into.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be, I don't know what the budget is with regards to digging up the bricks and re-leveling them there. I think that's a labor intensive there. So I don't know what the amounts are there, but I'm not saying that I've done a lot of landscaping there, but I wouldn't think that it'd be too much. And this might be more of something that our CEO can discuss with facilities as well. I just kind of wanted an impact what council thought with regards to that. This is our time now to address it as opposed to waiting there. I know Dustin's probably ready to do it this week or next week or something like that. He's pretty on the ball with regards to that, but I'd like to see it replaced, the bricks with shrubs. We got concrete in there that's well wide enough to drive up there, let alone walk up there. Fire service there. I want to thank our fire service and that of all our firefighters that work in the fires up north and in Manitoba and western provinces. I've been involved in several excavations, fighting fires on a small scale. While a member of the RSMP, many evacuations with the Air Force and so on while I was up north, especially in isolated spots, which I've got lots of experience. So we have some firefighters from our Springfield Fire Service who volunteered to work on their own dime in the north to help out. I want to congratulate them. I have a couple of names, but I'm not going to mention the names. Just never had permission to do so, but I want to congratulate them for taking that extra step and helping not only our community, but a community up north. So I commend them for that work, and I commend our fire chief for the great job that he's done with regards to ensuring safety in this RM fire-wise. The wastewater, so we're waiting for the environmental license on a project that has been ready to go for over a year. We have satisfied all requirements, and yet we still wait for our license for the water treatment plant. And the wells south of us here, two separate environmental licenses. Submissions were sent in for May the 12th or 12th of May for the wells in Dugald. So I'm hoping that will be at least get something going with regards to that. We're waiting, and we have the money ready to go. It's $8.8 million as opposed to the 29 that we started with, and so we're in a very good financial position to do that, and we have to get things started. It's kind of long in the tooth there, and I keep on saying it, but we have to get this thing started. So this is a project that adheres towards safety and adheres towards having our community going forward. So safety with the fires, and the pressure off of our aquifer, taking all these thousands of potential through the aquifer there and make it into three large wells or two large existing wells. One as a spare is a good thing to do, and we've been on this. This has been a campaign of mine for 20 some odd years. So it'll bring small businesses, residential, and it'll also reduce taxes. Our old lagoon rehab project, which was mentioned in Phil's report there. I'm hoping that we can move something forward. I did send a report to Manitoba Métis government there in hopes of getting some progress with regards to this. I have yet to heard back from them. And as I stated in the Manitoba Biz report that I had written up there, Niverville has got a similar project they've got underway. It's very successful. It's on a smaller scale. Our scale here will be larger. It'll be closer to the school, and it's not just going to be another 5-acre small business area there. This is going to be a legacy project where we could have, pardon me, the prairie grasses, ponds and so on. So our project is well written up in that report of ours. So that ends it. I apologize for being so long-winded, but I've been doing that for 2.5 years, so I don't know why I stopped today. So I guess if that's everything there, then we can move on to delegations.
Be it resolved that May department operating reports be accepted as information.
Well, I got a show of hands in support. As unanimous and is so carried. And then we'll go to delegations 7.1. Well, 11 minutes late. That's not too bad. So Mrs. Regehr there, if you'd like to take the podium. 10 minutes, Colleen. And you have 10 minutes there, ma'am?
We'll take one. They'll take the rest.
All right. And just state your name, Zach, when you guys are up there, whoever's talking next.
I'm Jan Regehr from Pine Ridge Hollow. Just wanted to take a minute to say thank you to council and staff for taking the time to hear us today. I have been before council many times over the course of the years that I've been in business, starting with Eric Towler as CAO. So I'm probably older than all of you, so none of you know who he is. But anyhow, it's been an interesting journey, and I appreciate the work that you do. It is important work. But we're here today to talk about Pine Ridge Hollow and who we are and what we're asking of you today. So we opened in 1992 on Vernon Road. We were there for 7 years. And then at that point, we moved a building to our existing site. So we have continued to grow organically, responding to our guests' requests. And we constructed our village in 2022, where we have 13 new businesses, market building, geodesic domes. We have varied offerings with our business. And when we presented to council to purchase the 12 acres, at that time, we also shared with you that we would like to do an inn and spa accommodations, and felt that we could do that on the 12 acres and realized that we really could do a much better job if we could purchase the 25.5 acres that we're currently leasing from you. We just have walking trails on it. And so that would be our ask today. And my daughter Katrina and my son Zach will finish the rest of the presentation.
Hello, I'm Katrina Clausen. I'm the Vice President of Pine Ridge Hollow and daughter of Jan Regehr, as she mentioned. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'd like to begin by sharing a brief history of Pine Ridge Hollow and highlighting the contributions we currently make to the RM of Springfield. Pine Ridge Hollow has grown into a destination business within the RM, drawing visitors from across the province and beyond, and contributing meaningfully to the local economy. We currently employ over 175 people, with 60 of those individuals living right here in Springfield. We also support 9 on-site businesses that operate independently, along with hundreds of local vendors who participate in our markets and events throughout the year. Our leadership remains family-led, and we take pride in maintaining strong roots in this community. Our growth has always been grounded in a desire to create something that reflects the values, talents, and entrepreneurial spirit found throughout the RM. One of our core commitments is to environmental responsibility, something we believe is essential to any future development. Our operations include geothermal energy systems that reduce our environmental footprint. When we build, we do so with a light touch, working with the natural landscape rather than against it. We've developed a farm-to-table ecosystem that includes composting and a closed loop food cycle, supporting our farm, Oak Knoll Farm, to minimize our impact and support sustainable food practices. We believe this kind of stewardship is not only good business, it's good for the land, for the RM, and for future generations. As we plan for the next phase of growth at Pine Ridge Hollow, we want to take a moment to highlight the contributions we're already making to the RM of Springfield. Each year, we contribute over $70,000 in taxes, directly supporting local services and infrastructure. We're a major employer in the region with over 175 current staff and more than 250 positions projected through our planned expansion. These are stable, community-based jobs that support families right here in the RM. In addition to creating direct employment, Pine Ridge Hollow actively supports local entrepreneurship by providing space and support for small businesses to grow within the village. We also play a key role in tourism and event attraction, bringing thousands of visitors annually through weddings, seasonal festivals, markets, and community events. This drives business to local shops, accommodations, and service providers across the municipality. Finally, our commitment to on-site food production and sustainable practices contributes to local food security and promotes environmental responsibility through education and demonstration. Pine Ridge Hollow is more than a destination. It's an economic and cultural contributor woven into the fabric of this community. Thank you. Zach will now walk you through our vision for future expansion.
Right. Hello, my name is Zach Regehr. I am on the management team at Pine Ridge Hollow and also Jan's son. So our vision for this 25.5 acres is a Nordic spa and accommodations that would be very integrated into the forest, and we want to build it into the environment rather than recreating the environment around it. So the construction for the spa would be set to start in 2028, completion by 2030. And with accommodations and spa would represent 20 million plus in investment, which would bring our contribution and an increase of property taxes of $373,000. So that's a major boost for the RM for what we're currently paying in taxes. Next, this is just a site map. So this represents the 25.5 acres roughly. The black line is our existing property, and so this shows the expansion of parking as our current parking lot is over capacity on weekends. So this shows the expansion of parking as well as the spa and accommodation site. And so why this land? So I'm not sure if everyone's familiar, but currently our property is bordered by the RM and the park. So this is really the only way that we can expand as the provincial park is bordering us on the other side. The land is fairly landlocked between our property, the residential properties, as well as the park. And it aligns perfectly with the RM's transformational possibilities category to bring social, environmental, cultural, and economic value. So yes, alignment with the RM policy A21 for land sale. Our proposal directly aligns with this policy, and it brings a strategic benefit to the municipality through tourism, job creation, and sustainability, tangible value through infrastructure, tax revenue, and employment, as well as intangible value of wellness, cultural connection, and community enhancement. We believe the vision for this land supports and amplifies the RM's own development goals and supports growth in a healthy and sustainable way. And then community value and vision. This is a long-term investment in Springfield's prosperity and long-term wellness. It ensures local ownership and leadership, keeping the impact and economic flow rooted in the community with ownership and family management, all residents of Springfield. It elevates quality of life for residents and provides a destination for visitors to connect with nature and well-being. We're creating a Springfield landmark, something special that draws people provincially and nationally and highlights the best of what this RM has to offer. This also generates a sizable increase in tax revenue with very limited infrastructure demands on the RM. Our ask is that Council classify the 25.5 acres as surplus land with transformational potential and approve a private sale of the 25.5 acres under Policy A21. We believe this request represents an amazing opportunity for the RM to partner in creating a legacy project that combines business growth with community and a long-term vision for the future of the RM of Springfield. That's everything.
Thank you very much. You may as well just stand up there, Zach. Any questions for Zach or anybody, any of the other two presenters? Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to your family for playing a vital and critical role in our community over those many years. It's a favorite spot of many of my friends and my family, and I think you've added Springfield to the tourist map of Manitoba for what you've done so far, and the initiatives that you're looking forward to are exciting, and obviously there's economic gain and opportunity as well. So I'm actually quite thrilled. As you know, this kind of touches in my ward, and so the residents around that area I've never seen resistance to your initiative, and so I think that's very positive. I also want to thank you, frankly, for doing it publicly and transparently. You've provided this presentation now that all the community can see. We can't hide it from them. There's been other companies or enterprises who have tried to meet with council. I've opted out of doing that, same with Councillor Kaczynski in times, because they want to try to bend or twist our arm. That's why I introduced the lobbyist bylaw. But you're doing it exactly the model and the way it should be done is to council in a public forum. And so I want to really, really encourage you and say that, you know, 2 thumbs up, because this is how it should be done and vetted in the public arena. And so you've really hit a positive point on my front. In terms of your initiative itself, I would suggest that as I say, I'm very excited about it, but when you ask for the approval of the sale of the land and the policy towards that, I have no necessary reservation for that, but what I would like to see, and I'll be blunt and public, how do other enterprises, or how do we determine a fair market value for that? I mean, obviously, we can get an assessment, and are other people going to bid on this? Not to block you, not to block your initiative. That's not what it should be, because I personally see the value of the potential tax revenue and the jobs and the tourism and the community. I think all positive. So I just want to see, because, you know, council and members of council will get a lot of pushback if we were just out cartwright signing you and saying you can purchase this property for X amount of dollars. I just want to make sure that that process is fair and just for all people who, again, your initiative is probably far superior than any other that probably could even exist. But how would you suggest that we move forward to make sure that the public doesn't say, oh, this council had favoritism to your project, which again, in a positive light, you know, is green. It meets all the criteria that I see as a sustainable and a great positive element to our community. But how do you suggest that we move forward in terms of the purchase of that property in a transparent, open process?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think for us, like, I mean, we put this presentation together based on a policy that already exists within the RM. So I think, like you said, we are being transparent. We're here, and yeah, just looking to follow the policies that already exist within the RM. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Fuel.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the Regehr family for bringing this forward. Again, council and administration will take a good look at it, and I'm sure we'll be getting back to you with some discussion points. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Kaczynski.
Thank you for your presentation. It was really heartwarming that, you know, family from this area can prosper and you know, make very good things for in this municipality and put us on the map, like Councillor Mira said. I just want to let you know that we're going to be correcting the intersection on Garvin and Heatherdale. So that road going to be improved, because my wife just went to your business over the last 2 weeks when it was raining, and when she brought the car, like, I couldn't recognize. So if we could improve the roads for your business, that will really enhance, like, people going to the wedding, they dressed up, everything, and then, you know, they leave the vehicle and the woman just touch her man, their, you know, clothing, and they go to the party that, you know, they're supposed to look good. So, you know, we're going to be really putting forward that we can, you know, maybe improve the roads as this thing going to happen to your business. And, you know, we as a council, yeah, we want to support the local businesses here that, you know, and see the progress in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Zach, I had a question there. What is the plans with the 12 acres now? I know you have cubes in there and pathways to these areas there. Is there further plans to develop that as well?
With the current 12.5 acres, we do have plans to do a second phase of our village expansion within our current property limits. So that would be additional retail and service-based businesses. We'd love to add like counseling, potentially a dental office, but to basically a multi-use. And then, so that will be phase 2. The geodesic domes and trails will kind of stay open along one side of the property, and then the spa, and that would be on the new property. So we do have that phase 2 that will happen on the addition or on the current 12.5 acres.
Is that another? I know when I was there, there's that large. Well, we were having our coffee there. The large barn that it was in here. Is that what you're looking at? Is another one of those that size or that footprint?
It would be more like the other units that you walk through to get there.
Oh, I see.
So more retail service, individual units, anywhere from probably 700 to 1,500 square feet. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
and like I love the idea of the trees and the idea that you said you're going to work around the trees where and when you can. So I want to congratulate you on that because we need that. Now there is the restricted prohibited flowers thistle or something like that.
The asters, yeah.
So what is it called again?
An asters.
Yeah, well, we all know it's a plant there, so
Yeah.
it looks like a regular plant to me. But how are you now guarding that from damage at all?
So we've just basically marked those areas as like undeveloped areas. Our trails all go around them, so it's all kind of in like open field spaces away from where we've developed. So, and it wouldn't affect any of the like where the plan to put our buildings is either. So
Okay, that was kind of my next question there. So have we done a study to see if there's any other of that rare species on that 25 acres apart from that one by the parking lot?
I am unaware if there is been a further study on that piece of land.
Okay,
There
I
is
guess,
there is not many clearings like where they would grow, but that's not to say there isn't many.
okay. And you say you're going to use geothermal. I just want to, that's part of the plan. Are you using geothermal now and to the big building?
We currently have geothermal in our large building, yes.
Okay. What else have I got here? Just pardon me for a second there. We have a naming bylaw. This doesn't apply to that. Where we want to put names of our veterans who had passed away and so on like that. I'm hoping that you know, this is kind of way ahead. We're at step A now, but somewhere down the lines there, is there any plans of like a parkade or having a trail that would, you're able to at least look at that initiative by naming a trail after our veterans or something along that way there? I'm not telling you because we haven't approved or anything there, but is that a thought there that you guys would be open to?
Yeah, I mean, typically all of our rooms and trails are named after indigenous species of plants and flowers and different trees and stuff, but we name kind of all our trails and different things. So there's definitely a possibility for that.
Thank you, Zach. And what about the philanthropic donations? Have you, does the your business there, is there donations into the community, like for softball, baseball, you know, the girls team? I know they're just starting up there.
Yeah, that's not something that I can speak directly to as far
Yeah.
as I'm not the one writing those checks, but I do know that Pine Ridge has a large community involvement in lots of different programs and with lots of different groups. So.
And I know the last two questions really don't apply to this here, but I'm just throwing it out there. The only thing I can find negative is there is that all three of you failed to recognize that your dad's in the audience. Or the two of you, Jan's husband.
Yeah.
But I got no further questions. That's got to be Edwin, is it? Okay, well, I've got no further questions, so I thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank
That
you.
was good presentation. I guess that'll be the first warning for Edwin there.
What is that warning, sir?
Okay.
Could you please put that?
Mr.
No,
Page, I guess.
could you please put the warning
Can you just
into?
please delete him?
Mr. Mayor, if you're warning
No.
me, I want to hear your warning.
Okay, you got your first warning. Okay, Mr. Page, you're up next. 10 minutes when you're ready to start.
Sure.
This
So
is
just
not
what people
Mr.
were noting
Page.
is that
I want the warning
delegations
in
noted as RE
particular.
minutes. Well, I have
You have warned
disappointments about
me,
the minutes.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm actually here to talk about the taxation bylaw.
No, okay, I'm sorry. You're supposed to be talking about minutes.
Well, he doesn't have a chance because
Yes,
you
Okay,
still
that's his second warning. The third one it will take you out of the. You're supposed to talk about minutes.
Yes, so just to clarify, about 13
You have
minutes into
any
April 29,
consideration of what a
2025, you
warning
said
is,
that as time
Mr.
goes on, everybody has a
RCMP?
chance to talk about this.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Mr. Page, and it's not your fault.
Yes.
I think
It's,
we need to
this-
call the RCMP.
Sorry, Mr. Page.
Please call the RCMP into chambers to
Jesus.
diagnose.
Okay, Mr. Page. Your time hasn't started yet.
Okay,
so
okay. No worries.
Okay, now what is your presentation on, Mr. Page?
The taxation bylaw, because it's second and
You're
third
supposed to be
reading.
talking about minutes.
Yes, I believe maybe Councillor Miller may have misspoke.
Well, no, that's we voted on you talking about minutes. Because Mrs. Nylen's going to be talking about the taxation one there. So I don't see that this rises to an emergency there. Go ahead, Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and it was my error. I was looking at some other documentation, but I don't, we've allocated 10 minutes, I'm sure, whether it's for the minutes or taxation, just let them have the 10 minutes. I mean, I don't see, it's pertinent to the agenda anyway. It has to do with taxation. I don't really see why you're being so sticky on this.
Well, I guess I'm being sticky is the fact that we've already voted on it, so I'm not going to go there. So you want to talk about taxation? Okay, you have 10 minutes, Mr. Page. Okay, 10 minutes.
Okay, so my name is Daniel Page, local computer science professor on Pine Ridge Road. I'm here to speak as a resident. I'm a resident that lives and grew up here in the RM of Springfield. I spoke at the financial plan hearing where I voiced concerns and opposition. As I reiterated before, Mayor Tarrant had stated as time goes on, everybody has a chance to talk to this through delegations or to their counselors. I'm concerned that with the increased taxation, that it will make further make the lives of residents, myself included, more difficult as they face many possible challenges in the present economic situation. I'm concerned that when council has proceeded, they did not take into consideration that some residents are still reeling and are continuing to do so, struggling, even fearful to the next bill that might come, or perhaps even asking themselves if they even can continue to live here despite loving their community and contributing to it. It raises a simple inquiry of whether it's feasible in a beneficial way to do so, meaning asking much of the residents without really giving them much in return. While it is simply sometimes not just one thing, there could be many factors to what I'm referring to that could lead to hardship of residents. Some of these facets are not well understood, nor are they properly studied as some are not even on the radar of our public institutions. This sometimes is because those same institutions were responsible for causing those problems, leading to an undesired accountability from those that should lift up that rock and peek under it to do analysis. Regardless, there's a sizable number of residents in our community who may be there is a sizable number of residents in our community who may be heavily impacted by further increases to taxation for various reasons. Example, fixed income pension impacted by policy, such as more of the recent, but there may be others. Job loss, radical departure due to no fault of their own. When I ask the following questions, I'm inviting the RM as scrutiny of what is before council tonight, because there is second and third reading on the table. Second thoughts to consider whether the path the RM of Springfield has proceeded on serves all the residents here or is compounding the hardships they face financially with no clear benefit over drawbacks. Some members of society may not have been impacted in the same way as others, but the reality is that there are many factors looking at census data will not necessarily provide you a downstream effects of some of these things I mentioned. Right now, there are floating figures around that have been discussed in this chamber, ranging from around 17 to 18% potential increases, potentially more, potentially less. It could vary. I mean, even if you were to consider a hypothetical, like say even per month, say the bill, like say a property tax bill went up even just by at least $100. Let's put this in real world terms. That could be the component of somebody's food budget. That could perhaps be saving up for an unexpected expense, maybe a repair on a house, investing in their future, donating locally to causes, or perhaps even more. It could be something even as something as sentimental as, say, getting your kid a birthday present. I just simply cannot understand how a government could even ask for more when I clearly see inefficiencies that aren't even being recognized in your institution. While our society is not in any kind of boom period, economically speaking, that would merit asking more of the residents. I personally cannot speak for others. I'm only one person, but I worry that some aren't looking for more costs from the municipality, contrary to the commitment to the fiscal responsibility of municipal governance. Now, I'm going to be highlighting a few things, just because remember, I'm here to scrutinize. That's my main purpose of being here. So again, I was at the final plan. I'm aware of the financial plan presentation, but keep in mind that is only a component or constituent of a part of the bylaw. Now, more broadly, I usually look, because there's kind of two sides to a discussion when it comes to taxation. There's the government and what exactly benefits the government as an entity, but there's also other entities that interact with the government. And I'm concerned about the impacts on those other agents, if you think of it this more abstract way. That's how somebody like myself would talk about these things. These could be residents, these could be businesses. And when I was in attendance, I didn't really see anything really reflecting about those impacts. Like if somebody puts, just like a computer program, somebody puts inputs in, you get output. If you build a model of a profile of a resident or a business, you can see potentially estimates for how those costs build up, or potentially if it's feasible or infeasible. Because generally people in a community interact in that community, they spend money in that community. And that's an important part of the economy of a municipality as well, is being able to participate, invest, participate, even volunteer. I mean, if nobody can afford to live here, I'm just giving a hypothetical here. That, like, why would they volunteer? They just don't have time to do that. But again, I'm talking specifically about concerns around the spirit of this is involving the lower two quartiles of the financial income distribution in this community. Because it's not very clear to me when, we raise taxation, the concern, and keep in mind, there are components to this, yes. But what I'm saying is there are people that get affected, but you can't just look at the average. Speaking statistically, you have to look at, if you bump up costs, you're affecting the lower two quartiles of your distribution for your incomes in your community. So those people, whether they be people such as say one income or two income, or may rely on the food bank, these are people that are a part of our community too. And I'm concerned for them if costs go up. And I think a lot of people are in the dark about what might be coming. That's why I'm also here. I'm going to hit three things. So first, how much time do I have? 3 minutes? Okay, good. So three things I want to touch upon is, has the RM of Springfield conducted any feasibility assessments of the taxation bylaw or its parts based on modeling various affected agents, so residents or businesses, and specifically the lower two quartiles of the financial income distribution of residents in this community? That's the first one. The second one is, has the RM of Springfield determined the financial impact of advancing the taxation bylaw on residents and businesses in the community? If so, where is this publicly available? Remember, it's before council tonight for the taxation bylaw. Thirdly, even though members of the public and some members of council, including the mayor himself, reported that there are going to be potentially increases in property taxes, among potentially other taxes, why was there no effort to use social media or communicate clearly to residents the brief impacts expected this upcoming taxation year? If this is the position of the RM, why can't the RM communicate their plans more clearly to residents, to have an open discourse with them, especially tonight when not many residents came during the public hearing? So I'll just stop it there. No, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Miller?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Dr. Page, for your presentation this evening. It is pertinent because we're looking at Bylaw 2507, Taxation Bylaw, second and third reading tonight, and this is really our last kick of the can, whether it'll pass or not. But I also want to thank you for expressing concerns that I hear from residents by email and by telephone call. But as you know, many people are busy in their daily lives and really aren't engaged. They just say thank you very much to the government for raising their taxes once again, and that just seems to be a natural element of our life. And unfortunately, I don't really subscribe to that. I think we can do better. I have a couple of questions for you, but one is, you might know, communities in Georgia, the state of Georgia, actually go to their constituents and look to have plebiscite on very specific expenditures on an annual basis. We don't do anything of the sort. So how do you see the RM of Springfield raising the bar to engage the residents? In other words, there's sensitivities out there, right? If they knew that we were spending X amount of dollars on a certain initiative, they might actually say, yes, that's fantastic. We're getting value for our money. And on the other side, they may say no. For instance, a few councillors went to the FCM in Ottawa last week or the week before, and I think there's importance to doing that, no question about it. But actually, I don't know what the actual final cost is for us to do that. So as a resident of this community, I think there's value in sending representation, absolutely, but at what cost, right? So if it was a sensible amount of money, no question. But we've been at meetings where certain RMs are restricted to send representation because, quite frankly, they don't want to burden their taxation base with going on these kinds of initiatives. So my question to you is, how can we do a better job? How can we raise the bar to ensure that residents are fully engaged and fully understanding and not going to be upset at a potential significant increase?
So sure. The first thing I do need to reiterate, it's very important to iterate this clearly in the chamber. This is a public institution. It's very important to reiterate that because I keep hearing analogies to this being a business. It's a government. So they have two different kinds of functions. So when it comes to talking about, and at first I do want to point out that plebiscite idea, I do really like that idea. I think it's very important to engage with the public, say if there's a project they're really interested in. Making it very clear to them to know what those things are so they can put in, invest in those things. Now, when it comes to communicating about, say, reaching out to the residents, I mean, if the government has a policy, they stand by it. They should be going on top of the, not literally on top of the hill, like backyard or something. Like they should be at the top of the hill being proud of their policy. Like they should be on social media. I mean, the RM of Springfield has a Facebook page. They post things there on that page. Why can't they make infographics to communicate that to the residents? I've seen pretty well done infographics on the RM webs, on the Facebook page, for example. They can easily do things like this. That's a very easy way to reach residents, is directly in ways, because many people don't feel comfortable talking about sometimes their views openly. And sometimes they'll do it in private. Social media is one way to reach those people directly. Likewise, using the mailing lists, like it's a powerful tool. And I've also want to stress that the RM also does use questionnaires, but I don't really see them used and utilized for, policies that are kind of concrete things that actually will impact them in very strong ways. So for example, there's that questionnaire came up with the tree program. Like, why can't the RM do things like this, get feedback? I mean, there's a phrase from computer science, like garbage in, garbage out. If you work with bad data, you're going to have bad outcomes. That's what I'm trying to say. But we need to have residents coming and speaking. But the thing is, you have to encourage them to come here. But the issue is that many feel like they just it's not worth my time. I can't be listened to. That's how I keep hearing it. I go for a walk and the residents randomly talking to me about it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Kaczynski?
I don't have, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have question, I just have comment. So thank you for your presentation, Mr. Page, Dr. Page. And our bar is set very high now with the intellectual like you to explaining to us what we should do, how we should do it, and what the outcome could be, possibly. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Mr. Page. Next up will be Janet. Oh, this will be online, I guess.
Yes, I'm online. Can you hear me? I'm trying to unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Thank you. My presentation will surprise you. I thank you for allowing me this opportunity. I was just asked today to review your bylaw, and I found some errors that I hope council may consider and amend the bylaw so that the document is more concise, I guess, for lack of a better word. Although I disagree with the financial plan and taxation impacts that it brings, I accept that the financial plan has been adopted by council, and I won't delve into those specifics and focus instead on the bylaw document itself. If you refer to the document, bylaw 2507, the fifth whereas, it makes reference to a portioned assessment for district number 3 Enola, and the assessment is 338,750. Now that amount does not appear in your financial plan. It's not on page 8. I think I had raised before that there was some discrepancy with the Enola levies for the local improvement, and I don't understand why that is, but I mean, you can't make a reference in this bylaw that's not in your financial plan. So I draw that to your attention for correction. My next one is down on point number 1. You make reference to Schedule A to the bylaw, and I assume that's your financial plan. And on the agenda, the financial plan appeared after Schedule B, and it doesn't have a heading on it as a Schedule A. So just as a reference to me, Schedule A is the most important part of this bylaw, and it should have sort of that physical appearance so that when somebody refers to it down the road, that they know what they're going to be looking for. Next point is in point 2. You're talking about Schedule B, and really what Schedule B is the levies on the 3 various school divisions that you have, but you don't make any reference in that point that it's for school divisions or for education or what that schedule is for. I think it would be more clear in future if you kind of just said Schedule B is related to the education requisitions that you're having to levy. Then I'll go down to point 4, which is again related to your Enola local improvement. And then you state that there's a rate of 8.85 per meter levied on all accessible frontage. But if you look on page 8 and page 12 of your Schedule A, which is your financial plan, that those numbers don't meet what you're levying. So there's some kind of calculation in there that's not being reflected in a clear way. I think that just some wording changes and stuff might make it easier, and then down the road when you kind of do this again, you like if you amend it so there's, how can I put it, and I guess I think that sometimes the bylaw is just cut and pasted from the previous year, and if we don't correct it, we keep the same kind of problems going on and on and on. And so my suggestion to you is to kind of fix the problems, and then it won't be repeated. And so these are just kind of technical and suggestions to you so your bylaw matches what your financial plan intended, and it's going to be clear down the road in the future. And I'll leave you with, I did disagree with the financial plan, but I'm not arguing it at this point.
Thank you, Mrs. Nylen. Any questions from council? I see none. Thank you, ma'am. Then we'll go on
Can I
to,
just ask if anybody is going to do anything about that, or like, I don't expect questions, but could I get what, I guess are you going to take it under advisement, or are you going to try and
our
do
CEO will talk.
Well, obviously, this information would have been helpful prior to the meeting, so we could have verified these numbers. So I'll just suggest to council that we, move the bylaw reading to the end. I'll work with AMRAM. I know we do have a bylaw set for that ANOLA, so we just have to confirm those numbers, plus go onto the provincial website and confirm those numbers again. Make sure that it's not just entered incorrectly, but again, we're going to need to take a break at some point in the meeting so we can verify those numbers. We can't defer this from this meeting as we have a deadline to get this taxation bylaw to the province. So
I guess my point is, like,
Okay. We'll get those numbers, and I totally agree with our CEO, and I'm not going to expand on that any further. Emergency delegations are for emergencies, and this is a backdoor question period that all the questions have already
it's
been.
not a question. This is a suggestion.
You asked the question.
And advice to you to make your document better. If
Thank
you
you.
don't want to take advice, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Then maybe we'll defer this to the very end there. Where were you thinking? I got to 11.5 or to the very end. So we can move that down to 11.5, and our CEO will get a hold of our CFO. And then we can look at doing our vote tonight like we had planned. Thank you. So why don't we go to unfinished business there, 9.1. Can I get a mover and a seconder for conditional use 2519? This is for Ali and Abbas there. This is a mistake on our part where we didn't, I think the comments were by Janet as well here regards to that. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that item, please? Melinda and Andy.
whereas the public hearing has been conducted under the Planning Act to consider an application filed by Medea Abbas and Abbas Ali, owners of the property legally described as Southwest Quarter 33107, located at 59033 Pleasant Road for a conditional use under the Springfield zoning bylaw number 0801 to permit a home industry. And whereas council is satisfied that the requirements of Part 7 conditional uses has been met, be it resolved that conditional use order number 25-19 be granted subject to the following conditions. 1, the accessory building for the related home industry shall be limited to a maximum floor area of 232.25 square meters. 2, the storage of goods and materials for the related business shall be stored inside the accessory building. 3, this order shall expire and become null and void on the date the business ceases to be in operation. 4, this order shall not be transferable to any other owner and or lessee. And 5, that the owner shall obtain an annual municipal business license.
Thank you. With that resolution being read, can I get a show of hands of those in support of conditional use 2519 under Ali and Abbas? That is unanimous and is so carried. Then if we can go to the consent agenda, that's items 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. A mover and a seconder for a consent agenda. That's Councilors Miller and Warren.
Whereas a consent agenda has been submitted consisting of 4 items, be it resolved that the said consent agenda be received as information.
Any questions from council at all with regards to that? I think somebody's cell phone's going there, but can I get a show of hands of those in support of consent agenda items 10.1, 2, 3, and 4? That is unanimous and so carried. Then we'll go to a new business there. 11.1 is ward appropriations there. Mover and a seconder for that, please. Councilors Warren and Tarian.
So this is involving 2 requests. One is from the Springfield Collegiate Alumni Athletic Association. They hold a Springfield Open annually. Last year, you were a silver sponsor for $325. And the second request is from the Dugald Community Club Canada Day Committee. Originally, they requested $7,000 from the RM. We had approved $6,000 in grants. So this is an opportunity for council to contribute to match that $7,000 request.
Okay. How much did we do for Springfield Collegiate last time? 330 or 325?
325.
Is everybody good with the same amount this year? Sounds like that's unanimous there. So if we contribute equal portions amongst the 5 of us for 325. And how much is the Dugald Community Club actually looking for? Like we had a 6,000
So another $1,000.
per counselor?
No, 200 per counselor.
Okay, so another $1,000 for the Dugald Community Club. Is everybody in agreement with that? I see consensus with regards to that. So if we can read the resolution for the amounts.
Okay, be resolved that the following 2025 ward appropriations be approved. Springfield Open, $325, $65 per council member, and Canada Day event, $1,000, $200 per council member.
With that being read, if I can get a show of hands of those in support first. That is unanimous and is so carried. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment, actually. Having said that, with all these forest fires and that happening throughout Manitoba, I know we do the big fireworks in Dugald for Canada Day, and I'm just hoping that they're, again, paying attention to what's happening out there with these forest fires, and hopefully there'll be some consideration or some alternatives to the fireworks if we're still in that dilemma at that time of the Canada Day. So I just wanted to state that, and a big shout out to all the firefighters and the workers up north that are helping these communities that have been evacuated. My heart goes out to them. I was at, once again, Community Futures, and their area got really hit directly with 28 cabins or homes that have, again, just disappeared by the fire. So I just want to state that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kaczynski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So follow up to what Councillor Friel said. So the community in Dugald have to apply about fire permit, yeah, for those fireworks. So if we have a drought situation, I guess it won't be allowed.
Yeah, their special event permit has been approved with the condition that if the fire ban is still on, they can't have fireworks. So they're aware of that, but they have put down payments down for other vendors. So they'll proceed with the event, even if they can't have the fireworks. They don't want to lose that money that they've already put out. So
can they do barbecues or that gonna be?
They'll have to follow the fire ban, and the fire chief will let them know what they can or can't do.
Okay.
So
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kaczynski. Any other questions at all? I see none. Was there a resolution that we have to read on that one?
it's already been read.
Okay, we have a vote there? Was there a mover seconder? Oh, okay, we're still talking. All right, then why don't we go to 11.2 Is it the next one? Red River Basin Commission, Manitoba North Chapter meeting. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councillors Warren and Fuel.
Be it resolved that all council members be delegated to attend the Red River Basin Commission Manitoba North Chapter meeting being held June 16th, 2025 in Winnipeg Beach at their discretion.
Any questions or comments from council? I see none. Can I get a show of hands of those in support? As unanimous and so carried. Next one would be is 11.3. Can I move in a seconder? Mayor Tarian and Councillor Warren.
Be it resolved that the financial statements for the month of February, March, and April 2025 be approved as presented.
Any questions from council for the months February, March, and April? I see none. Can I get a show of hands of those in support of 11.3 financial statements? It is unanimous and is carried. Variation order 2419, a 1-year extension, 11.4. Mover or seconder for that, please. Councillors Warren and Kaczynski.
Just some background of this, just for the public, because I know we had some comments. As per section 101(2)(a) of the Planning Act, council can extend a deadline for a period of not longer than 12 months if an application is received before the expiry of the original deadline. The original deadline would fall on June 20th, 2025, and the next planning meeting is after that date on June 26th. Therefore, we're just requesting council vote on the matter this evening, and no public hearing is required for this.
Thank you.
Be it resolved that council grant a 1-year extension to variation order number 24-19 as per the requirements of section 101(2) of the Planning Act.
Any questions from council? Variation 2419? I see none. Can I get a show of hands of those in support first? As unanimous and is carried. Then at this point here to give our CEO time to speak with our CFO there. Is it a rest or recess for 10 minutes? If we can have a 10-minute break and get back here at 7:48.
Recording stopped.
We are back at 7:50, 2 minutes a little late, but I'll refer it to our CEO for comments.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, the questions were to do with on the second page of the bylaw, the third and whereas the portion value of all accessible property in local improvement district number 3 in Nola, Manitoba, according to the 25 assessment rolls of the RM of Springfield is $14,338,750. So that is a number that we received from the province based on our LID bylaw. I don't know the bylaw number, 10. It's in the financial plan. It relates 1021, I think it is. So we have a bylaw that lays out all the property rolls that are included in that LI, and the province takes all the assessments of that and gives us an assessment amount that matches that LI. So that's where that number comes from. That $14,338,750 doesn't actually fall in the financial plan, only the amount that's calculated. And then the other question was that 885, number 4, that a rate of 885 per meter is hereby levied. So that 885, you times that by the 2,164.77 meters to get to the amount on that page 8 in the financial plan. And that 885 is set by that bylaw. So that's been the rate forever. And I think that was the only other question. Yes, we have no problem adding Schedule A to the financial plan and putting that in the proper order and moving Schedule B down. That's how Schedule B has always been labeled forever and a day. So I'm not sure I would look at changing that. So I think those were all the questions.
Yeah, I tried to write them down, and that's what I understand. Any other questions from council? Okay, so that was with regards to the questions and from Mrs. Nylen there. Now I can, if we can go to 8.1, bylaw 2507, can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councilors Warren and Kaczynski. Sorry, Andy, you had your hand up? Okay.
Be it resolved that second reading be given to bylaw number 2507, being a bylaw of the RM of Springfield to establish rates of taxation and impose taxes for 2025.
Any questions or comments from council? Councilor Miller?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for this opportunity. As you know, this is a pivotal and important part of our council responsibilities and duties. Taxation impacts every person in this community that, of course, has property. And whether it be a residence or a commercial enterprise, we should take every opportunity to ensure that we reduce the burden of taxation on our community. Some have said that, I saw in the newspaper today, to the chagrin, one mayor in a different community said that we need to bring new residences and all the rest of it to our community because that will increase our tax base. But what they don't recognize and what they don't understand is that that also increases the level of responsibilities, the improvements that are continued to be required, the public works that's necessary. It could mean new fire trucks. It could mean a whole host of things, additional staff. So bringing new residences to a community doesn't necessarily reduce the tax burden. In fact, I would challenge that mayor, as well as I would challenge everyone in our society who believes that, to show me one community where increasing your residential load reduces taxes, because they won't be able to come up with an answer. They won't be able to come up with an example. It doesn't exist. Now, that's not to say residential growth is not important for a community. I'm not a stagnant believer in stagnation and that kind of thing. But specifically to this particular budget, I believe we should have sharpened our pencils a little bit more to cut where there was discretional items. I think we could have done more. Many people want their roads repaired and improved. We're doing the best we can with the dollars we have. We know we can't, we don't have an endless supply of dollars. But like Dr. Page echoed and others have in past, the burden of taxation is significant. And what's the number one complaint of Canadians? If we're not taxed at the food store, then we're taxed on our residences, and we're taxed at every corner that we turn. And so it's becoming much more than just a regular connotation of what we do, but it's an actual burden, as again Dr. Page has alluded to. So I want to ask the CEO a specific question. This was a reassessment, provincial reassessment year, and how many dollars did we yield in addition to having it a reassessment year? My comment being, and I want her to rebut this, is this not one of the highest, most significant increases that the RM of Springfield has ever seen in terms of tax increases? Not assessments, but increases for residences. I hate to put you on the spot, but I think it's an actual truthful statement that the increase that we're going to potentially pass here is the highest increase that's perhaps ever been seen in our 151 years as an RM of, well, in our province. So I hope that's not the case.
Well, I think if you go back to the financial plan hearing on the presentation, I don't think anyone caught it, and I should have maybe pointed it out at the time, but in the last 10 years, this has been the only decrease in the mill rate that council has approved. So in 2016, there was a 17.7% increase in the mill rate, or sorry, an assessment, and that percent change in mill rate that year, 2016, was 11.1% increase. The next time we had a huge increase was in 2023, 17.7% again. Again, the percent in the change in mill rate was 2.1% increase. So this is the first time we've seen an 18.9% assessment change. However, council decreased the mill rate by minus 3.16.
And thank you for that information. But numbers tend to lie, right? You can skew them whichever way you want. Certainly in politics, one does. But where the pedal hits the metal is where it's the pocketbook of our ratepayers, right? So my question again is, the burden on our ratepayers, isn't this amongst the most significant increase that ratepayers in our community have ever seen? Property owners?
I wouldn't say that it is, no.
Okay, can you prove to me where there would be a more significant increase? What year?
I would have to go back to the numbers, but no, I wouldn't say that this is the biggest increase that we've seen on our tax bills.
Is it amongst the most that you've seen?
Like I said, I have to go back to the numbers, but I don't see this as a huge increase. And we didn't factor in the $1,500 school rebate either in our numbers at the financial plan. So people are going to see a further decrease to what we even proposed at our financial plan.
So you're saying that the average ratepayer in our community will have a decrease in their taxes from 2024?
It depends on their assessment increase. Some people increase the 7.7, other people increase 10, other people increase. It depends on your assessment. So there's no way to answer that correctly.
I think there is, though, because I don't know that there's been really anybody that shared with me that their assessment has gone down. Real estate property has gone up significantly. I don't want to debate with you because I know I'm putting you on the spot and you need to look at the information accurately, but I'm just saddened that that there's going to be a number of people in our community who just are really disappointed at this budget, and we'll see an increase that perhaps they have to pull from other sources, and they haven't budgeted for. And I would really like to take the approach where we again sharpen our pencils more and make cuts where we can do that, because I've seen some frivolous spending, right? And I think that in any government, because I've been in government, I've seen it extraordinarily where there can be additional cuts and changes to a budget. So I won't look forward to supporting this in this time.
So I just want to clarify, if I said decrease in assessment, I meant decrease in taxes. So the 18.9% was the average increase that people should see a slight decrease. If you went over that 18.9%, you're going to see an increase, but some people only had a 10%, so they will see a decrease in their taxes. It just depends on the amount your assessment changed.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple comments. I believe in being fiscally responsible, and I will always look at ways we can cut taxes, myself included. We all don't like paying more taxes. Having said that, I can't do nothing about my assessment. When I look at what my house is worth, that's what my house is worth. I looked down the street, I went to Board of Revisions, and they showed me what houses sold down the street. How do you fight that when you find out the house down the street sold for way more than you thought it would have? Now, having said that, you know, we want to be fiscally responsible. And in this, we know that the costs have gone up. I go to the grocery store and I shake my head every time I go, and I'm sure everybody else does. The cost of groceries has just gone. I was just listening to the news today about meat costs going up 32% on steak loins. Like, where does it end? I don't know where this is ending, but all I know is in our taxes, we want to be fiscally responsible. We don't like increases, but we have to do them to maintain our levels of service. And also that, you know, again, that the municipality, I get phone calls again with dust abatement all over, and I'm sure every other councillor does too, that they want it, they want to keep it up. well, these are the costs that we have to do. And it's getting costly. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from Councillor Kaczynski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have questions, but I just gonna read the statement that I prepared. So we have many residents in this RM, many who prosper, and many that are currently struggling. The economic forecast is not very positive at this time. It appears that we're facing many challenges in coming years with tariffs and trade wars, and are foreseen things that further increase inflation. Now it's not the time to spend more, now it's time to spend less. Now it's the time to do less with more. No, now is the time to do with less and just do what we need, not what we want. Increasing taxes on Springfield residents and businesses between 17 and 21%, it's outrageous. I spoke with many other municipalities and they just have increases between 3 and 7%. So why is Springfield increasing so high? And with such a high tax, how we are expected to attract businesses to this municipality? We are competing with other municipalities with much lower taxes. We are going to have difficulties in the future. And I cannot support this high taxation burden on our families and our municipality. Thank you.
Thank you. And unless Councillor Warren has anything to say, I'll sum it up here, and then we can vote there. I'm glad that our CEO had come up with those dates there where the increased assessments there and the mill rates have gone up. So this is essentially the opposite of that. The mill rate has gone, or the assessments have gone up, but we put our mill rates down. We have sharpened our pencils there. We have discussed this many times in working groups for months and months there. So our staff has done due diligence and save where they can. Many have come at budget, some have come under budget, but others in this growing environment have gone over, and that's just the costs, especially public works. Everything has gone up through the roof. I feel saddened that some people may not be able to afford it there, but we're doing our best there. There's nobody on this council or anybody that I know of in general that wants to see anybody be burdened by that. Assessments are high because this is a very well, it's a prosperous RM, and we're doing very well. Unfortunately, when you do well, assessments go up, and that's been kind of across the board as well. That's it there. So if we can read the resolution, then we can vote on 11.1.
Be it resolved that second reading be given to bylaw number 2507, being a bylaw of the RM of Springfield to establish rates of taxation and impose taxes for 2025.
With that read, bylaw 2507, can I get a show of hands of those in support of 8.1, bylaw 2507? That's Councillors Warren, Deputy Mayor Fuel, and Mayor Therrien. Those opposed? The Councillors Miller and Kaczynski. So it's passed. We'll go to 8.2, and that mover and a seconder for bylaw 2707, third reading. Mover and a seconder, Warren and Fuel.
Be it resolved that third reading be given to bylaw number 2507, being a bylaw of the RM of Springfield to establish rates of taxation and impose taxes for 2025.
Councillor Miller has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm not going to rehash what I did, but I have to say that sometimes the minority reflect the opinions of the majority, and so I'm again saddened that this budget doesn't reduce taxation burden on our municipality and the residents of this municipality, and I'm going to work very hard in the next year to ensure that come up with a budget that does reflect the wishes of our community. The essential services, as Councillor Fuel said, are critical, but perhaps we can cut in other ways and or source other funding mechanisms to support some of the projects in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Then if we can, have we read the bylaw already? Oh, okay. With the bylaw being read, the third reading of bylaw 2507, taxation bylaw, third reading. Can I get a show of hands first? Those in support. Councillors Warren, Fuel, and Tarian. Those opposed? Councillors Miller and Kaczynski, so is passed. And I guess that would be it there. Can I get a mover and a seconder to, there's nothing for closed meeting for adjournment. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Warren and Tarian there. And show of hands for adjournment. Unanimous and is carried there. And we're going to finish at 8:00. I can't even read. Yeah, 8:08. Thank you very much.